so I'm about to interview the Hungarian MEP Adam Kósa on a report that he's prepared on the mobility and inclusion of disabled people in the European Union. I think it's going to be very, very interesting because obviously it's a very important report in any case for obvious reasons, but also from a radio point of view. Mr. Kósa himself is deaf-mute, so it will involve the use of an interpreter, and obviously it's a very unusual and in some ways difficult task for radio broadcasting, but I think it's going to be very, very interesting. Well, I'm going to ask him, obviously very broadly, what are the main problems that disabled people in the EU face at the moment. I think when we think about the challenges that disabled people encounter, we think about the physical obstacles in terms of access and facilities, and perhaps not enough in terms of the psychological barriers that they face in terms of breaking down attitudes and prejudices. And I think that's probably a much harder task to accomplish.
Has very good strategies. For example, 1 year ago they...
Inside Fontana.
Oui, le sac extérieur.
Outside Fontana is only reunions, meetings cells.
We're going to the 5th floor, inside the tower, office number 10, where we are going to meet the Mr. Klute. I'm very sure. Let me see here. 57. Well, and here, does it go up or down?
It's easy to get lost in
So
the
we're gonna
European
try
Parliament.
this direction. Haben mit Ihnen gesprochen, am liebsten auf Deutsch? Oder?
Ja, also Französisch geht nicht.
Französisch geht nicht?
Ich finde das alles sehr, sehr vage und fragwürdig und wenig überzeugend, muss ich sagen.
Was glauben Sie, kann man sich... It was very nice. In fact, he didn't mind at all giving me very personal opinions also. Not all on the microphone, of course. It's you start talking, and as soon as you switch it off, people suddenly remember how much they still have to say. So, but I have a lot of statements. What he thinks about our German Chancellor, how he thinks the Eurozone should actually solve its problems. If we want to have a French-German Mutter. Then we have to exchange the staff who works at it. Okay. So, quite clear words and an invitation to come back whenever.
Wow, thank you very much.
Every month there is one part of the group from the radio that comes. Normally there are 3 people that come every month to Strasbourg. It's part of the training, part of the experience as journalists.
You arrive, you don't know the place, you don't know which steps to take. Of course you can know all of the parliament members, so if you need to ask directions, you never know if you could actually have had a wonderful interview with the person you just asked whether to go left or right. And this is not a very powerful experience, but on the contrary, you're swimming and you're trying to keep your nose up the water.
I'm not sure I know enough to say if I like or not how the European Parliament works. I'm saying more about the atmosphere. When you enter the place, it's like a maze, it's like a puzzle, and everybody has little pieces that they fit in this whole puzzle. So it's quite difficult in the beginning to just find out where your place is. But for 2 days, I guess we'll try to fit in somehow.
Maybe yes, maybe no. So there are advantages. I like really working in a foreign language. There is more of a challenge to it. But of course, there is a system which is different. You have to get accustomed to it. So people need all the time's permission to speak to you. I'm not used to it. So Germany compared to France has way flatter hierarchies.
So now we're going to the press room to prepare our day. We're going to call a few people that we would like to interview, and we will try to catch them before or after the votes from 12 to 2.
Tu vas, t'es très naturel, tu es très poli, tu dis excusez-moi monsieur, je voudrais juste savoir si vous pouvez, je peux vous interrompre 2 minutes. Vas-y vite parce qu'il va se...
Well, actually, it wasn't a planned interview, so I just went up to him and asked him if he was busy or not, and if I could just speak to him for 2 minutes, but actually he was very under pressure, and you can see that he was under pressure, so he just said no, and I didn't want to force him anymore. He said that eventually he'll be free at 1:30, but then I have other interviews, so we can't force people to talk to us. If they don't have time, of course, we can't.
At the European Parliament, I think interviewing MEPs in general, whether it's in person or by phone, the most difficult thing is obviously that they're very busy people, and so it can be very difficult to organise interviews. And as a journalist, there's a temptation to sort of one wants to have everything here, and here, but obviously it very rarely works out as you'd imagined it. So you don't have any interviews at all on Monday evening, and then you have 3 on Tuesday morning, and that's just something that you've got to accept, really. I think something else that's quite difficult about interviewing MEPs, and I suppose this applies for politicians in general, is that I think particularly as a young journalist starting off, you feel very beholden and obliged to MEPs that are kind enough to give up their time to grant you an interview. And obviously you have to put into one side your gratitude and however nice they are to you in welcoming you into their office, in order to have a frank discussion of whatever it may be that you've come to interview them about.
Citizenship and responsibility.
Europa debattiert.
Euradionante al Parlamento Europeo.
And the most important thing today is the program that we have planned from 10:30 to 11:30, which will reunite around the table about 5 people for the first half an hour, and then for the second half an hour of the program there's going to be a round table with us 4 journalists and the European mediator.
Nikiforos Diamandouros, bonjour. Vous êtes le médiateur européen et ceci depuis 2003. Vous présentez ce mercredi 26 octobre votre rapport annuel 2010 aux eurodéputés. Merci d'avoir accepté notre invitation.
Euradio Nantes vous présente Citoyens et responsables, l'émission débat depuis le Parlement européen.